Now joined by TSN hockey insider Chris Johnston. Chris, an incredibly emotional night for the Maple Leafs. What stood out to you being around the room, in the dressing room, in and around that after the game?
What I'm going to remember most and take most from it is just the release of that emotion. And, Mark, you and I have both been around this team a long time, very familiar with the storylines that they've, had piled on top of them. And to see longtime staff members of the organization crying in the hallway after the game, players, with a cold beer, hugging each other in the hallway, talking with Kyle Dubas, with Sheldon Keefe. Some of those things that were said in those interactions. I mean, we can't repeat them all here because a lot of four-letter words, but you could feel the weight of everything being lifted off them. And so I think that was probably the coolest part. Mitch Marner at one point ran out to the Leafs bench long after the game in his underwear and was yelling at the fans that were still there, the Leaf fans that didn't want to leave the arena here at Amalie Arena. So it was just a really excited, almost surreal type of scene, and it's one certainly Leaf fans are going to remember forever.
It's been a long time coming. We were riding the elevator down after the overtime winner with Kyle Dubas, and we were watching the goal, and he's kind of shaking his head. What a funny game. Why do you think this group was able to be the one to get over the hump?
Well, look, they got some bounces. I don't think that's a mystery. You see it right on the overtime winning goal from John Tavares going in off Darren Radish's skate. But, I think we should look at Kyle Dubas and what he did, the belief he kept in the team. He kept that core together, and look what happened. The core four forwards and Morgan Riley, 4 of those 5 players just had their best individual playoff season by points that they've ever had as a Leaf. So those guys stepped up. The acquisitions like Ryan O'Reilly unmistakably made a difference on this team. Scored a big goal to tie that game in Game 3 late with the goal he pulled. But I think a lot of his off-ice contributions, even Luke Shen. I mean, who would have guessed Luke Shen would play such a pivotal role in this series? I know he's got a ton of respect from his former Lightning teammates who went through the handshake line for him. And so I think it all came together. And, it does come down to bounces sometimes. They've been in overtime before with one shot away to move on and didn't get it done. Tonight they got that bounce.
A lot of talk amongst the players was a primary emotion they were feeling was relief. Austin Matthews talked about getting the monkey off their back. What do you think this means for the team moving forward?
Well, it's hard for us to even put words around that. I think it's huge. I mean, this isn't necessarily a prediction. We don't even know who they're going to get yet in the next round. But, talking with someone who works for the team on the way right after the goal went in, he said, just watch how far we go now that weight's been lifted. I mean, it's unmistakable that the questions and the doubts and their own doubts, I'm sure, about whether they could get over the hump and get through a series. I mean, you take that away, this is really kind of borrowed time now. I know there's still high expectations on this team. It's now only one playoff series win in 19 years, but that one's pretty big, and we'll have to see whether it's Florida or Boston, but it's going to be a couple more days here, and they're going to be right back into the next round.
We saw Lightning general manager Julian Breezeball walking out, and he looked at us and said, a new storyline, a story Leafs fans have been waiting for some time.